Council meeting of the Village of Manan to order on June the 5th, 2017, 7:30 p.m. at the Manan Community Center. And tonight for prayer we have Pastor Phillips of the North Head Baptist Church.
Yeah. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come here at the beginning of your meeting. So let's pray. Lord, I take a moment again to thank you for the opportunity to gather here, and I want to lift up this council, this mayor, and all the people that are involved in running the operations on this island, Lord. We are very grateful for the many blessings that we truly enjoy. Thank you for this season and for the many wonderful beauties of the nature all around us and the opportunity to truly enjoy such a wonderful island that we have, Lord. I pray for the people. Pray for the children, the youth, and all ages, Lord. Just continue to help us to look around and see the ways that we can continue to be a blessing and to help others in our community. And just praise you always for your great love shown mightily. And so we just give this time this evening to you and just pray for your blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Gentlemen, my talk tonight will start off about Canada. It's Canada's 150th birthday, 1867 to 2017. Canada is one of the greatest countries in the world to live in. So we should all be very, very proud of our country. So let's all start flying the maple leaf. And the village hopefully will be getting our flags up a little earlier where it is Canada's 150th birthday. So we will try to celebrate Canada's birthday in a fashion that we can be proud of. The next issues are three of my pet peeves. Handicap parking. Those places are for the handicapped people, not for people who are only stopping for a second to run in to somewhere to do some business. So let's have respect for the people that need these handicap places and obey the signs that are there, and probably we can make a lot of people's life a little bit easier. Next, and I talked about this last month, is the litter problem. It seems to be getting worse every day. Cigarette packages, coffee cups, pop cans and bottles, paper plates, styrofoam dishes. Let's respect our environment. Carry a grocery bag in your vehicle and put these items in the bag and dispose of them at the transfer station. The people who cleaned the ditches for us have done a great job. It is very discouraging for council and for the general public, and especially for these people who had done a good job on the ditches, to look a day later and see the litter that is littering the highway and the ditches. People who lose their garbage off of their vehicles, please stop and pick it up. Let's make Manan have a great appearance for Canada's 150th birthday. The Village Bursary Committee have met and they have chosen two people, one for a university bursary and the other for a community college. And those names will be announced at graduation and also at the next council meeting. So now we can carry on with tonight's business. Number 4 is a disclosure of conflict of interest. Number 5 is the adoption of the minutes of May the 1st, 2017.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt May 1st minutes as circulated.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Fitzsimmons. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 6 is additions to the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we add a letter to the Minister of Natural Resources regarding our game warden, and I'd like to add it under 9.8 of the agenda.
You heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Fitzsimmons. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, the next is the RCMP report, and tonight we have Constable Painter here to give the report, and he also, with him, is our new Corporal, Jason Morrissey.
Steal my thunder here. Oh, you go ahead. So, before I start, this is Corporal Jason Morrissey. He's Grand Manan's new corporal. He arrived last week, and he's gonna be out on the road here starting this week. So, get a good eye. So, the month of May in Grand Manan, we had 72 occurrences in Grand Manan. Fairly quiet, which was a good thing. We had 3 impaired driving occurrences, criminal code occurrences, and 3 mischiefs were kind of the highlight of the criminal code files during the month of May. We had 1 federal statute, drug seizure, marijuana. Mental Health Act, we had 4 occurrences. Mental Health Act continues to be a problem here on the island, and Dr. Webb's working hard with it, and Ms. Guptill with mental health as well, but every month it seems to be more and more, so hopefully we can figure that out soon. Violation tickets and warnings, 23 issued in the month of May, like I say, for a total of 72, so all in all, pretty quiet month in Grand Manan.
Anybody have any questions for Constable Painter?
I just had one for Corporal Morrissey. I was wondering your last post, sir.
Yeah, my last post?
Yes.
I was actually a facilitator at the training facility at T Division Depot.
And T Division is?
Well, T Division is in Regina, Saskatchewan. That's where, I guess, every Mountie that's ever been minted has been gone through for training. So I was a facilitator there, so I was an instructor. Yeah.
He's an East Coaster as well. He's from PEI, so good man.
Another one?
Yeah.
So he's living in Seal Cove.
Yeah, that's right. I'm in Seal Cove right now temporarily, and at the end of the month I think I'm going to be moving back up to the house across from the office there.
So it is 3 years?
3 years.
If we can keep you longer, we'll try.
Well, it's always a possibility for sure.
Oh, I can't say you'll fall in love with Island Way of Life because you're already used to that.
Well, I'm already in love with Island Way of Life, so I'm already there.
Any other questions for the corporal or the constable? Well, I want to thank you for coming in to be introduced, and Constable Painter, he's been our fall guy for a month or 2. He's done a great job at it.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks.
So now is a 10-minute open session. So, okay, we'll move on to new business. Under new business, 9-1 CCTRA Spring 2017 report. It was tabled from last month. Councillor Sturgeon was out lobster fishing at his regular job.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's good to be back. I attended actually 2 meetings on April the 25th of 2017, and Charlotte County Regional Tourism Association. The next one is going to be the UMD Zone 4 report. First one I'm going to start off is that the Charlotte County Regional Tourism Association Marketing Committee report is they have released a request for proposal for the design of a new CCRTA brochure aimed directly at visitors within the region to extend and enhance their stay and increase their mobility within the region. It will be designed in 2017 and produced for 2018. And basically what it is, it's what brings you here and what could possibly make you stay longer. And of course we want them to not only enjoy themselves here, but we want them to tell other folks about what a great time they have, and they're missing a lot when they don't come here. So looking forward to seeing the new brochure. So the Economic and Visitor Data Collection and the Executive Director and Julie Glasner has been developing an online survey for regional visitors to provide us with the better data on their habits, spending, and how they find out about a region and plan their trips, etc. And this survey will be in place for May. And the CCRTA will print small business cards for distribution at key points in the region. And as well, the committee discussed training our summer student along that line and several volunteers to administer the survey in person at key locations and times. For example, while people are waiting for surveys, they have lots of time on their hands, so it'd be a good time to talk to them then. And there is sufficient funding allocated in the budget to proceed with these activities. And Mr. Mayor, I'm sure you're familiar, as a lot of people are familiar, with the last video that the Charlotte County Regional Tourism Association had produced, and it had gone over quite well. In fact, it had gone over so well, they decided they're going to do another one, of course, bigger and better. And they're in conjunction with CHCO TV to plan the video and filming it this year. And the currently in the stage of scheduling filming for the upcoming months. And that's what I have to report, Mr. Mayor.
Just, it's nothing to do with that, but the Platinum 2017 magazine is out on the summer of 2017. Very good write-ups on Grand Manan, more than we had ever had before. So they should be around in some of the stores. I picked one up today at the dollar store. Okay, now Councilor Sturgeon with UMNB Zone 4 report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I mentioned before, the Zone 4 meeting was held on April 25th, and it was held in St. George, and we had a good turnout along almost all the municipalities. Unfortunately, St. George had a last-minute meeting called for their community. I think it had to do with the doctor recruitment, so they had to cancel it at the last minute, but that was certainly understandable. And I might have touched on this before, Mr. Mayor, but apparently McAdam has a deal worked out with Fredericton that if they ever want any, if McAdam's looking for a certain piece of equipment, whether it's recreational or any other such maintenance thing, they can contact Fredericton and see what they have and maybe get first dibs before it's put on the market. And if Fredericton has anything that they'd like to maybe get rid of, they ask McAdam first. And that piqued our interest so much. We asked if there's any other such thing that could be arranged, and found out that the Association for Municipal Administrators of New Brunswick, which I believe our Honorable CAO is a part of, they have a website that has a classified section for any member communities that has vehicles and equipment for sale. So this could be a money-saving item in the future. Another thing too, Mr. Mayor, reporting a few things that other communities has got on the go. For St. Andrews, the community is close to a new 36-unit independent living seniors complex. And there's been very well attended council meetings as of late, because it appears that a recently proposed heritage bylaw has brought it well argumented sides on both for and against this bylaw. And basically what it boils down to, Mr. Mayor, is like St. Andrews is a very historic town, as we know, and kind of a garrison town, and so some people like to have the, your traditional buildings, while other people want their vinyl siding, and some people are making arguments, well, it's none of your business what I put on my house, but on the other people say, look, it's, we rely on tourism bucks, and both, all the members from St. Andrews say, both sides have really compelling arguments for both, and they're not rushing through this. They're paying close attention, and decisions will have to be made. For St. Stephen, and has hired a marketing firm to promote the town. Well, as you can imagine, this is not cheap, but they believe it's going to pay off hugely in the end for the town of St. Stephen. Now, I remember reported on for Grand Manan and what was going on in that neck of the woods. And I was talking about the wind power, and that we had a community meeting along that for the public, and how at the end everybody who attended the meeting had a chance to show a ballot, put in a ballot for how, whether they're in favor after hearing the questions, hearing the presentation, having the chance to give their questions, and how there was a strong showing of support for the wind power project. And how out of 51 ballots that were passed in, 43 were being in favor, 7 were neutral, and only 1 against. That's a very strong showing. And anyway, it was a good show of democracy, and I thought as well, Mr. Mayor. Now, for our zone concerns, extensive conversation was held on the possibility of having a regional promotion ad among all of our communities. While there's been much support for this idea in principle, how we get there is still to be worked out. Now, one thing that all of us agreed on is that in today's 21st century world of communications, the internet is the way to go, because once it's posted online, as we often tell our children, it's there forever. But however, anything that's printed and that's printed material, you know, eventually it disappears. And trade shows are also a good avenue, and they provide a good face-to-face interaction and remind others of our warm down east composure, that we are hard working people who enjoy affordable living with reasonable real estate pricing. And in the end, it was felt that this was a project worthy of a meeting devoted solely to the cause of promotion before we undertake any such advertisement. A few more things, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Stanix brought up the question of the future of the NAFTA agreement. As you know, Mr. Mayor, it doesn't affect us, I guess, so much, but softwood lumber is a major concern for the province of New Brunswick altogether. And it seems like this is a story that changes every day, and it's hard to keep up top with. But it's very important, and we should make every effort that we do. Now, the next UMB Zone 4 meeting will be held on a Sunday afternoon at the historic train station in the village of McAdam. Time and date of the meeting is going to be late July or early August. And after Mayor James of Blacks Harbor, who also happens to be one of the directors, returns from a trip out west. And that's pretty much all I have to report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sturgeon. 9.3 is dial-a-ride, Deputy Mayor Moses.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Executive Director of the Dial-a-Ride program asked me to speak to council about support. In past years, council has supported Dial-a-Ride through our budget, and this past year we cut their support completely. I asked her for some statistics, and she said that there have been an increasing number of people from Grand Manan using their service. From January to May 4th, there were 12 trips returned, 12 return trips from St. John, varying from 1 person to 2 people at a time. Several trips carried a family of 3 for medical appointments. Several others carried a family of 4 for medical appointments. On top of those 12, 4 other trips to St. Stephen for appointments there. They're finding at Dial-a-Ride that Action Ministries here on the island is recommending this service to people more and more, and they're looking for support if we can this year, and they would like to be put back into our budget discussions next year.
Discussion?
Comments?
I'd just like to say, Mr. Mayor, it was good to hear. We often talk about who uses it, and so it's good to hear that it is being used. So.
I think we're restricted at this point because of our motion to $200 this year. But I would make it a motion that we contribute $200 to Dial-a-Ride this year, and we will look at contribution during next year's budget.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morse. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Sturgeon. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Royal Links report, Deputy Mayor Moses.
Again, Rural Links is a bus system proposal. We've had a long, rough road, no real pun intended there. In your packages, council, there is a report from the Executive Director of Rural Links to Southwest Service Commission for their annual meeting. We had scheduled an annual meeting for the Rural Links Board just a week or so ago, but we have had real problems with both the federal and provincial levels of government committing to funding. They're coming back saying, oh yes, yes, we're behind you, we'll fund you, and so forth and so on, just give us a little time. The board was actually contemplating dissolving the board and abandoning the project. It was getting so bad. Just before our annual meeting, we had a message from the provincial government that, wait, we are going to have some funding available. And we had a message from the federal government that Tier 2 transportation funding is coming out right away. So we've postponed our annual meeting to July. There's really nothing concrete to report. We've made some progress in the setup and how we will proceed once funding is in place, but before we can go further, we have to have the funding.
Any questions? Boy, so they're available tonight. Okay, 9.5, GMC Student Council, the 2017 Canadian Student Leadership Conference request for support. You see the letter that's in there? So, we're open for some discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I feel we're in the same position there as we are with other bodies coming to council for support, but we're limited to our $200. If we still have some available, I would recommend we support their leadership conference to the amount of $200.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Morris. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll make a better effort of getting the message out during budget time. If anybody wants any money, they better have a letter into. And this is a hard time to say it because of the cuts we did make for this year. But hopefully we'll be in a little better shape next year. 9.6 is the dissolution of the Arena Board. Councillor Fitzsimmons.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've asked Councillor Cheney over here to give us a brief history lesson for the arena. Brief.
Yes, Councillor Fitzsimmons, I got that, and I was busy on the weekend, and I would go to sleep at night thinking what I would say, and I never got it to paper until I came back on the boat at 1:30 and got one of those sandwich bags that they have, and placed on the wall and wrote some notes. Then I got home and I did sort of got on the computer and was able to put some ink to paper. So thank you. A bit of history, or shall we say hockey highlights. Starting with the 1938 outdoor rink. Now we'll fast forward. We'll fast forward to the biggest attempt to operate an outdoor rink, which was constructed in 2001. It was called the Muskrat Rink. It was on Missouri property over here to the south. It was a valiant attempt with hydro poles for lighting and a liner to hold the water, but it was doomed to failure due to the 3 M's. Mother Nature, methane gas, and muskrats. Mother Nature, in our maritime climate, is impossible to control. Methane gas, which we didn't know we had in that area, was below the soil, and we lift our liner, a liner we purchased, a 22 mil liner, to the top of the water level, like a sculpin's bloating bladder. The gas would come up, and every time it would freeze and frozen, the liner would be up just under the water level. The muskrats, they found their heaven on earth in our pond and ate holes in the liner as they traveled freely in and out of the mud banks. We would use 5,200, anything to try to seal them off, but we took rabbit traps and they moved it to Dark Harbor. Somehow they found their way back in. Then around 2005, 2006, the village realized that there was an infrastructure program out. And it would improve the Boys and Girls Club. We could provide a fitness center, a gymnasium, a village office, and an enclosed hockey rink without muskrats. For $33 it was worth applying to this program. Apply we did, and we were successful and design convinced. Sod turning ceremony took place, which is one of the milestones and one of the things I thought was just worth mentioning. There were many things over the last 10 or 12 years, but the NHL Hockey Hall of Fame player Dennis Potvin was in Halifax for a reunion of one of their series. It was at the Worlds, I believe, Junior Worlds. And we heard him say on the radio that one thing he'd like to do before he returned from Atlantic Canada was to revisit Grand Manan Island. And we thought about this, and Larry Small said he remembered when he was out visiting Dark Harbor, and Dennis would like to bring his wife Valerie to see Grand Manan. So after a few phone calls to the radio station, we had it all tied up. After he realized he couldn't take a Digby ferry to Grand Manan, we had him flown into Grand Manan for the sod turning ceremony. It was a good occasion. There was another moment which I think is worth mentioning. It was during construction. Yeah, I'll just have a small group here. It was during construction. The concrete slab for the rink was 3/4 complete when hydro on the island went down. It was shut off due to an accident on the mainland. This meant that the concrete plant, Griffin's concrete plant, could not produce the remaining mixture before the initial slab, the 3/4 of which had been poured, had cooled down to the point where we would not have a monolithic surface. In other words, we would have a cold joint in the last 1/4 of the rink. Now, that wouldn't be the end for an ice hockey surface, but it would not give you the best surface for summer activities, as there could be a line, a little small hump, and it certainly would not be attractive to the eye. The island was to be down approximately 4 hours before our generating plant could be turned on, and this would have resulted in a cold joint for sure. The situation was relayed to Mayor Green, who calls a connection in Fredericton, who happened to work for MB Power. That Frank acted on that information, and after going through some boardrooms and climbing some stairs, the result was that the island generating station was turned on and the slab was finished with one continuous pour. We have a very smooth, crack-free slab. We filled it with 4 inches of water because there's a small curve there. We kept it wet for 14 days, and it's a great spot, and I thank you for making that happen, Mr. Mayor. Another highlight was the NHL Legends game. The bleachers were filled to capacity, over 500 in attendance. Matt Stairs, hockey player at high school, baseball player later on, and our then provincial Sean Graham, premier, played with the Grand Man team, who tried all they could to try and catch the old NHL old-timers, but to no avail. But it was a great night. Another highlight was a Mars Bar commercial, and that resulted in the completion of the heated mezzanine. But the biggest highlight has been the success of the rink with the kids from 4 to 64. And now we have a 68-year-old, hopefully who will be playing next year. It's golfer Jim Leslie. And during this time, a 4-man team, a 4-team men's league team was evolved. We were playing 3 games a week back to back. The men's team was running hard. Enough ladies came out to form 2 teams and played in tournaments away and on Grand Manan, and have been very successful since. An old-timers team was involved, formed and competed with mainland teams coming to Grand Manan and those older players going away. and a very successful minor hockey program, with banners hanging for a 2012 Pee Wee division, a 2015 midget banner for an Atlantic division, a 2015 Christmas tournament, Subway tournament in St. John for a Pee Wee team, and a 2016 banner for an Adam team in Halifax, in a Halifax area tournament. A real Cinderella story. Manan has a competent recreation department, and possibly now is the time for the events at the arena to be brought into the fold of the recreation department for 12 months of the year. The village, through the CAO, has expressed this interest. I believe the rec department is interested. If this were to happen, the $10,000 operating grant, $10,000 operating grant, would stay with the village. The reserve account managed by the arena board, which is a tidy sum, would be turned over to the village. The income from sign rental contracts would go to the village, as well as any profits realized from the canteen, ice rentals, and tournaments. The only hits that I had in my point in my call was that maybe, hopefully those funds would stay and be used for arena purposes. On June the 1st, the Grand Manan Community Board, they discussed this issue or proposal. After much discussion, it was moved and seconded that the Grand Manan Community Arena Board would accept the arena being operated by the Village Recreational Department, and if the Village Council approves, then the arena board would be dissolved. This motion passed unanimously. Councillor Fitzsimmons, that is my brief report as you requested on the history of the arena to this present night.
Thank you very
Only
much.
some of the things to be highlighted. Not to take up too much time.
Yes, yes, thank you. The village did hand over control of the rink to the arena board. And the arena board, in the last 10 years or so, has done very well with it. But things have changed, as they often do, and we, as Councillor Cheney said, we do have a rec director working full-time to provide the Allen with a wide variety of activities. But right now, he's only in charge of our largest facility, rec facility, during the summer months. And as Councillor Cheney has said, we've been in talks with our CAO, Chris, different councillors and others. We floated the idea of bringing the arena back under village control year-round and allowing our rec director to try and come up with ways to utilize our arena and have even more events, enabling more people to take advantage of it. This has been batted around. We have, and as Councillor Cheney says, we have had the meeting with the arena board, and all there were in favor of the idea, most of them saying that the time has come. Therefore, we wish to disband the arena board and bring control back to the village.
So if this is going to happen, we need a motion.
I'll move that dissolution of the arena board, Mr. Mayor.
You heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Fitzsimmons. Question?
If the funds were to be retained for that purpose, how would that happen?
Can't do it.
That's what I was wondering.
Faith. Trust and faith, which we agreed to.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I think that it'll work out good. It was just that we didn't have a recreation director at the first of it. And it was a very good report, Councillor Cheney. I'm glad that you didn't start in 1938. But it is.
I'm sure he has stories and statistics back that far. Probably personal.
But
sort of emphasized
but I don't think, Councillor Cheney, we can stress enough of what effect it has had on the young people of Grand Manan. It was a hard sell to the council, and then the council had a hard sell selling it to the people of Grand Manan. And when just the front part of this building was finished, the rink was just a shell. The H1N shot had to be, they had to find a place to give that shot. So we gave them this facility, and we got a good percentage of the people of Grand Manan in here, and they just said, we just can't believe what we have here on Grand Manan, and they went out and spread the word. And then with the rink, I guess probably Councillor Cheney, one of the good stories was the late Lee Lambert. We couldn't get him into the rink. No way until the Legends was here, and then after the Legends, you couldn't keep him away.
Couldn't get him off that Zamboni.
No. So that is very important to life on Grand Manan now. It's still, I shake my head when I drive by here on Saturday in the wintertime, and there's the hockey is going on, and the market is going on. There's no parking places, and we have to be careful with the RCMP here, I guess. So anyway, it is a good luck story. 9/7 is Southwest Head Light. We may have raised the alarm. The word that the CAO got on Southwest Head Lighthouse was it was going to be demolished. That was the word that came to us. And people had said to me, isn't there something that we could do? Well, once the federal government makes up their mind on something, it's quite hard to try to change their mind. I had the opportunity to be to Southern Head last week, I believe. There was 2 people from the Coast Guard there. So I went and talked to them. There was going to be demolished and a tower put there. Part of the building is going to be demolished, and that is the flat part that's there. The tower that is there, where the light is, will remain. But that's all it'll be. They are going to update it. They're going to put new siding on the tower. And even talking of putting a red stripe around the tower to make it more visible to the boatmen. And the same thing is going to happen to Long Point on Whitehead. Just the flat part, and I was in it. It's wet, it has asbestos, and it's moldy. So I think we can be pleased with what is going to be remaining there. Committee reports, the recreation. Oh, sorry. That's what Amy's there for, to keep me on my toes. A letter, Councillor Sturgeon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, once again, as Councillor Cheney did, let's give a little history lesson here, if I may. As Vice President of the Wildlife Association, we've been hearing rumors for 20 years or so that we are always in danger of losing the services of a full-time game warden. And thankfully, for the most part, it always turned out to be false. But unfortunately, for the last month, we've full-time of our game warden, and there doesn't seem to be much clarification if we're going to get one back. And once again, getting into history, you know, it's interesting that the very first game law ever enacted in the province of New Brunswick was in 1810, an act to prevent the destruction of moose on Grand Manan Island. However, the province didn't see it have any wisdom to have somebody enforce those rules till 1865. So by 1835, the moose was gone forever from Grand Manan. Now we have a few deer around. In fact, we have the highest concentration of white-tailed deer in the land of Canada. But what a lot of people don't realize is that in 1845, a gentleman there, Mr. Wilson from the Chamcook Lumber Company, thought white-tailed deer would go on Grand Manan, so he introduced them. Once again, no one to protect them. And within 20 years, they were gone. And so thankfully, in the turn of the century, 1905, 1906, and a few times after that, there was some more introduced, and they've done quite well. But once again, there was someone here to protect them. Mr. Mayor, I say this only to say that laws are only as good as their enforcement. And full-time enforcement is needed. And if I may say so, Mr. Mayor, if you don't have someone to enforce those game laws, and I'm sure we've all heard stories of when, back in the bad old days, if I may say so, that you know, there's a little bit of illegal activity going on at night, and the only problem is when things go on at night, no one knows where that bullet's going to end up because they can't see for great distances. So this is more than a conservation issue. This is a public safety issue. And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we send a letter to our MLA, and who also happens to be the Minister of Natural Resources, and also to the Minister of Public Safety, and also to the Premier, that we have some clarification on where we're going with our game warden, and ask that nothing less than full-time enforcement will do. That's my motion, Mr. Mayor.
So we heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Morris. Question? I'll just add on the question, I have talked to our MLA about this, and I'm not trying to cover for him. He is very busy with the portfolios that he has in government. And I had talked to Jason Gadet, who is in Minister Doucette's office. I talked to him, it was after talking to Councillor Sturgeon last week, and he said he would try to get me some information, and I said, well, our council meeting is Monday night, I'd like to have it before then if I could get it. So I don't have any information.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Mayor.
So, any other questions on that? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We had that happen, Councillor Sturgeon, when Joan Chamberlain was, they were gonna take it away.
Yes, there's different opportunities.
Bruce Northrop was the minister at the time, and thought we had it licked that time, but it comes back to honest, I guess. Now, Councillor Rayner. Rec Director, Chris Rayner.
I'd only be so lucky, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I start my report, if I may, I might just touch on 9.6 for a minute. Just because the arena board has decided to dissolve and the arena to be turned over to the recreation department does not mean that it will not require volunteers. The arena for 6 months of the year is a 7 days a week operation. And I went back through the book. Councillor Cheney is great at keeping logs. And in the Zamboni room, we have little notebooks that everything's written down in. And it takes somewhere close to 500 floods every year after the ice goes in to run the operations. 5 years ago, volunteers done every one of them. One person in particular done almost 400 himself. So just because that means that this is going to be my responsibility from here on out doesn't mean that we're not going to need the volunteers to contribute. Nobody has any more passion for that building than I do. This is my 7th year as the president of Grand Manan Minor Hockey, and no one has spent any more time out there than I have. And probably not very many people can stand here and say that they made Councillor Morris Green cry, but I did. Because Morris, just like most of us, had the passion for children. At the end of the day, it's the children that benefit the most from this. Every year, our numbers for minor hockey grows. It hovers right around between 80 to 85. This year here, we actually had 86 kids. But the good point of that is the numbers that grow are 4 to 8-year-olds. They have the biggest numbers. Those are the building blocks that's going to take this forward into the next the next generation. But the success of the arena has been 100% because of the volunteers. And we hope that we will work forward with working with them in the future. So, on to my report. Once again this summer, Mackenzie Leslie will be working with the rec department. Mackenzie just graduated from a 2-year program in Holland College. She came out a lot wiser than when she went in, and she actually gets to hold a diploma in her hand that says that she is certified in sports and recreation management. When I knew Mackenzie was going into the field and coming back home, I applied to try to get a grant under the Youth Employment Fund, which what that does is the government will pay for us to retain Mackenzie for 6 months, and it is supposed to help build her resume and give her a little bit of work experience. It's been a long battle, but today I had a little bit of a glimmer of light. I had a verbal okay that we were going to get the Youth Employment Fund grant, which is fantastic. So hopefully what that'll enable us to do is once the regular summer rec money budget is spent, we'll be able to kick into the Youth Employment Fund, which will hopefully be able to keep Mackenzie here well into the spring. Mackenzie's, she's young, she's energetic at best of times, and I'm really interested to see what she has for plans for Grand Manan this next 6 or 8 months. We got baseball up and running. 3 teams are now playing in the local league. They're playing 2 days a week. This year, the local league will be having 2 provincial representation teams, a U13 and a U11 team. Last year, they tried this for the first time with a U11. It was such a success that they come back, and now they're going to have 2 teams. This team will play teams as well as host teams from off the island this summer. Looking forward to provincial competition it's usually on Labor Day weekend. Soon to start will be T-ball. T-ball is probably going to be on Monday night starting in the next couple of weeks. We also have a new program starting up. They actually held registration tonight. That's where Mackenzie is tonight, actually. We're going to start to offer soccer. I was out there before I came in here, and the girls were there at the table looking a little bit perplexed because of the overwhelming numbers that they had come through the door. They were a bit, like I said, overwhelmed, but anyway, very confident that everything will work out just fine. So the soccer is going to start. It's going to run 2 days a week, and they're looking at doing it from ages 2 to 13.
2?
2. God love that volunteer that gets the 2-year-olds. So that program is going to start in the next few weeks. Like I said last month, one of the problems that we run into is we don't have a soccer field. But anyway, we're working on trying to remediate that. Still working with Anglophone South on trying to do something with the field. In the meantime, we're planning on trying to accommodate them in one of the ball fields, probably Seal Cove. Seal Cove is the only ball field that the raccoons and the crows haven't found the outfield in yet. Canada Day, everything's coming together very well. We've had regular meetings. We actually have another meeting tomorrow. Hopefully, in the next few days, maybe a week or so, that we'll be able to get the flyer out. I think everybody's interested to see on what's going on and a little bit of information. I applied for a grant where it's the Community 150 celebration, and we heard word from that we're going to be getting that grant as well for $6,500 to go towards the celebration. We were pretty ambitious with our dreams and our wish list, but now with thanks to some local contributions as well as the community fund for the celebration, we're able to click off the majority of the things on our wish list. So we're really looking forward to that. It should be a great day. Also working on the arena for upgrading the lighting. I applied for a $25,000 grant for the Community Center retrofit program, a new program that RDC just put out. That application went in a couple weeks ago, so it's still new, so I haven't heard anything back on that. I do have an electrician coming in this week to give us a quote on installing the lights. This particular electrician had the contract for the City of St. John, and he just recently went through and installed the new LED lights in all 8 arenas in the city. So he's very knowledgeable on all that. So the last thing on my list is the pool. You all have a pretty color handout for reference. And I must say that the handout and the pictures weren't meant to scare anybody. And even the pictures don't do it justice. As you can see that we've really had our work cut out for us this spring. We're really looking forward to the day when the new pool is built. We're really looking forward to knowing when that might be, sooner than later. But as you can see from the first few pictures, pictures 1 through 6, that's the condition of the changing room / bathroom where the children go. And as you can tell from the pictures, it's not safe, nor is it healthy. And I know Graham and Nan puts a lot of pride into a lot of things, and I don't see how we can put Graham and Nan's name on that. Again, just to reiterate the importance of the new pool, if you look at picture 7, the baby pool, not something that babies really want to run through. Picture 8, but you'll really be interested in picture number 9. If you can see that in the middle of the picture, there's kind of a plus sign in the wall. And just below that, on the left-hand side, I have a circle around a piece of ash or a piece of cement. That's a 5-foot chunk of cement that fell out of the wall when I took the water out of it. The water stays above that line all winter. And when I drained it this spring to start preparing the pool, that fell in. After speaking to CAO, I took a bunch of pictures. We had Silk Stevens involved, and we sent pictures to the structural engineer to make sure that it was safe. When I showed him, one of the problems is, you can see from that picture, that line that goes from where that big chunk is the whole way across the center of the page is a crack, as you can tell by the looks of the wet, is leaking. So if water's coming in, now that we're filling the pool, water's going to go out. But the structural engineer did kind of laugh when he was talking about it. He said, well, at least when you get it full, the pressure will be going out, not in. So it won't fall in. It'll fall out. But anyway, the pool is all fixed. Looking as good as we can get it. It's filling as we speak, actually. Hopefully next month when the RCP give the report, there's not a noise violation on there, because the pump is still running. I gassed it up before I come over, But with regards to the changing room and the washroom, we can't operate that pool with that facility. The option would be put the lock on the door and have no facility, or put the lock on the door and try to come up with Plan B. The other piece of paper that I passed out is kind of Plan B. I got looking around and found this and emailed and got some information on it. CAO McPherson and I have talked about it a little bit, but I just thought I would bring this up tonight as an option. What you see there is a 32 by 12 foot washroom trailer by Atlanta Leasing. This is a brand new trailer. As you can see, there's a male and female side to it. The female side had 4 stalls. with 3 sinks and a hand dryer. The male side has 2 stalls, 2 urinals, 3 sinks, and a hand dryer. They would bring this in at the start of the season and come and pick it up when we're through. Now, I was talking to them today because there was a little bit of confusion on whether or not this had to be hooked up to existing septic, but this particular trailer here has its own holding tank, which would require to be pumped out as needed. Now, nobody has any idea how long it would take to fill up a 150-gallon tank. Now, unfortunately, probably 90% of that's going to be gray water coming from the sinks more than the toilets. But that's what our option is. So that's it in a nutshell from our report. If anyone has any questions on anything.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor, if I may. The backup plan, 32 by 12, what you just discussed, what's the cost on having it for the summer?
July 1 to September 1, $5,600 plus tax.
56 plus.
Chris, do we have the power, the electrical power up there to supply this to run it?
I believe so. I think it's only a 50 amp power supply, because it's just for, there's air conditioners in each side. There's 2 air conditioners, the hot water tank, and the hand dryers.
So it's 220, not 440?
Yes.
Where would it go on the site?
Looking at it today, probably the best location, other than tearing down the building that's there now and parking it right there, it would be parking it, backing it in, so the back of the trailer butted against the pool house. That way there, when you step out, you're stepping onto the concrete walkway, because the biggest issue would be keeping kids' feet clean and tracking the mess into the pool, and it'd be a constant battle all summer just trying to keep the pool clean.
Do you have a quote on demolishing the existing facility?
I do not.
Well, I'd make a motion that we fund the washroom trailer for the pool for the summer, for the price we've been quoted.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilor Ingersoll. I think the question would be, Mr. CAO, is that financially feasible?
Oh, it's,
Sure.
The one thing you must remember, there's no such thing as male and female washrooms now. They're both classed as male and female.
Excuse me?
Like, they're both classed on the Cobblequit Pass. There used to be a male and a female washroom,
Right?
and now they're both male and female.
Unisex.
Yeah.
That's the way it is in Woodstock High School now, Mr. Mayor, as well. They don't film this much, so.
Well, I think we should keep ours separate until we're forced to do so by legal action.
I concur. I truly do.
Mr. Mayor, I'm just wondering if it could get demolished for not too much money, and then if this unit could fit on to where the slab is now, would there be a possibility to hook into the line that goes to our septic system, tank and field?
I assume there would be, if the trailer sat on the pad where the building sits now.
It might be interesting to get a quote for that. Just the demolishing the existing building. You can't see it used for anything in the future. Or could you?
Not really, because as you can see from some of those pictures, it's hard to tell, but the entire inside is covered with black mold.
Scrub that with TSP. I mean, that's not to be that part of this question, but it's something to think about.
Is there any other questions concerning?
Just one question, Mr. Mayor, in regards to Councilor Cheney's concerns, do we have to make a motion to have it demolished then, or get a quote for having it demolished, or would that be?
Well, I think we should, but I don't want it to take and sour the purchase or the rental of this unit now.
We can get a quote, doesn't necessarily mean that we have to,
Nope.
go proceed.
We have two options where to put this, so
Yeah.
if we make the motion to go with this, later on, next month, next month's too later, we can make another second motion now to go ahead with the demolish.
Yeah, I was thinking two motions, but.
Yeah.
I think after this season, I think we really need to take a hard look because we're losing more and more money on this every year. And for the number of people that use it, I think, you know, just from a financial point of view, I think we need to take a hard look at it. Last year, we did a lot of extra work. This year, we have the additional cost of this. And I just think there's a point where you have to say, can we continue to do this? Maybe it'll be a good impetus for the leisure center, you know, to let people know that this just isn't financially feasible anymore. But I wouldn't be inclined to take it away this season, for sure.
I will say that if there's discussion about demolishing of the building, we have to be careful because the last 4 feet of that building is the electrical room, and that electrical room has to stay exactly intact the way it sits. That's the reason why the electrical inspector didn't shut us down last year, because we were grandfathered in. We can't add or change anything. As long as we don't, if we upgrade anything, then we have to upgrade everything. So that has to stay exactly as scary as it is now.
So you're gonna open it like this?
If we were to open it today, there'd be a lock on, as far as I'm concerned, there'd be a lock on the door. There'd be no washroom. If they had to use the washroom, they'd have to go up on the hill.
We've already made a motion to get this washroom trailer, but now just go talk basically whether we demolish the building, which sounds like we can't, if you wanna keep things in the air.
We don't know.
Okay.
This hasn't been voted on.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Mr.
We're still
Mayor.
under the question.
Yeah.
So we'll deal with the one motion, and then if somebody wants to make another motion, we'll do it.
Yeah.
So is there any more question on the motion of the renting the 32 by 12 foot? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, if somebody wants to do something about demolition, or after Chris had talked, the building electrical has to stay intact?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make clarification with Recreation Director Rayner again. We do have a plan B for location. You have somewhere that you can put it other than the original
Yes.
cement pad. Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
The only advantage of tearing that down would be parking the trailer possibly on the pad, tying into the existing septic, which would save you, because it's a 650 gallon gray water tank. We have no idea how long it's gonna take to fill that up. And I believe the septic is fairly expensive to get cleaned out if he runs there on a very constant basis.
Do you think it is possible to tear down most of the building without impacting the electrical room, or is that?
There's a wall separating the two. So you could leave that little hut on the end and
So it does have a separate.
You're telling us a chainsaw would do the work?
chainsaw, reciprocating saw, yeah, or a good man on an excavator.
I make a
So-
motion that the rec director investigate the options of tearing down the changing room portion of the building, leaving the electrical room intact if possible.
I'll second that.
So, do we, when is this meeting, we're gonna be televised? I was saying, do we dare put a price on it? We'll do that in closed session.
Yes.
So, okay, your motion was
to investigate the options to tear down the most of that building, the changing room portion, leaving the electrical room intact.
Okay, it's moved by Councilor Morse, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moses, was it?
Yes.
No, Councilor Cheney.
Sure.
So you heard the motion? Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Mayor, do you need a motion to add, the quote into a closed session with regards, or? Do you want to add that to closed session? I guess that's what I'm asking. What do you think, Councilor Morse?
I'm thinking we probably should, just for,
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion that we
Just investigating.
gather quotes for demolishing of the part of the building that we can, and let the CAO decide if the quote is reasonable to go ahead with the demolition.
We're investigating and, yeah, we can do that.
Okay, you heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilor Sturgeon. Now, does everybody know what the motion was?
Yes.
Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
My comment to that would be, it's a matter of time to get the pool open.
Absolutely.
I know, that's what I was trying to get at. Okay,
But I will say, going with what Councilor Turner said, at some point, if we only had a crystal ball, or if we knew that in the next, 1 to 3 years, or 3 to 5 years, that the new wellness center is gonna be here, you'd have a better idea, because if we're looking at 5 years before the new building comes, if we're looking at renting a similar type of trailer for the next 5 years at X amount, would it not be either better off to invest that money in fixing up a more permanent building to sit there, more so than, anyways, like Councilor Turner said, it's a hard, you're dumping money into it, but as long as we have to.
right along with this, we're dealing with the pool. We're doing it under the director's report. I think Councilor Ingersoll had made a suggestion on the way that we should be going with the airport. So probably we could go both that way on both. Would you want to elaborate on that, Councilor Ingersoll?
I don't know what exactly it is you're,
The minister responsible for,
yes, we don't seem to be getting anywhere with anything from the federal side, if that's what you're talking
Yes.
about. And it's given to me here a while ago that Dominic LeBlanc, Minister of Fisheries, but he's also the regional minister, I guess that's what you call it, for New Brunswick. And I was thinking that if we hadn't heard anything back yet, which I don't think we have this week ever.
Nothing today, no.
So I strongly believe that we should be contacting him and asking him for help to find the money for these programs. For the expansion for the airport and wellness center. So I mean, I'll make that a motion if
but what I'm
if you
saying
want
is,
one.
we're already dealing with the pool. So I think that motion could be made. It wouldn't hurt to throw in the airport.
Yeah,
And these are all shovel ready right now.
Mm.
There's no background to be, read the papers, that's what they want, what's infrastructure, this fits right in, and it's shovel ready.
And just, people, I think it was in Saturday's paper, there's a new director of ACOA, Francis McGuire. And he's come out of retirement, and his thing was to speed things up. ACOA was too long making the decisions, to speed them up. So go ahead, Councilor Ingersoll.
no, that was it, that's all.
You're
That
making
was-
that a motion.
Yeah, I'll definitely make that a
So
motion.
you heard the motion. motion from Councilor Ingersoll, a letter off to Minister LeBlanc. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Moses. Question? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. I think that will be a step in the right direction. Getting it into, Karen's doing a good job, but there's a lot of bureaucratic red tape to go through, and if it get into Mr. LeBlanc's hands, I think he can cut through quite a bit of that. So, okay, you're through?
It was 4-9.
Okay. 11 is approval to pay the following invoices from the General Operating Fund. Beers Neal, year-end financial statement, $6,900. Air Service, new circulating pump, $1,548.68. Dutchman Contracting, Dark Harbor Outlet, $13,909.25. Dutchman Contracting, the Castelia Marsh Road, $2,972.75.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we pay the, mentioned invoices as read.
Your motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Fitzsimmons. Question?
Just a question on the outlet, Mr. Mayor. Is that a shared cost with any other company we had in that?
Yeah, Parks Canada picking up 1/2, 50%, and the World Trade Federation is putting in 4,000, and the Village of Grand Manan is picking up the rest, so about $3,000.
So is that the total, and then we'll be reimbursed by those other
That's
parties?
correct, yeah.
And so it's Parks Canada, and what else?
World Trust Federation. That's part of the wild salmon
Okay,
project.
gotcha, all right, gotcha, yeah.
Any other question on those? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. And 12 is closed session. It's property community center, and 12.2 is personnel custodial staff. Did we add anything? No.
I'll make a motion that we go into closed session with matters, Mr. Mayor.
You heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Cheney. Question? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, people, for coming.
That was gonna take a while.
Call this meeting back to order in closed session, and we were in closed session to discuss property, community center, and personnel custodial staff. And the property, our CAO is going to address the property. And personnel is custodial staff we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to table until July's meeting, Mr. Mayor.
You heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Deputy Mayor Moses. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, the next regular council meeting is July the 10th, 2017, here at the Grand Manan Community Center at 7:30 p.m. Thank you, people, for staying tuned. And now we're waiting for Councillor Morris.
I move to adjourn.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morris. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Sturgeon. Good night.